This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 624 for the week of Sunday, June 7th, 2020. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
My name is Steve.
And my name is Alex.
And on today's show, we have a very special guest. He is the translator for One Piece in Shonen Jump and Manga Plus. You may know him as Stephen Paul. How's it going, Stephen?
Hey, it's good. I'm with you right now. We'll see if I last through the end of the episode. We're having some technical difficulties, but hopefully I'll be around.
Well, who's your internet provider so we could just have people send their letters directly to them?
Spectrum.
Yep, send your letters to Spectrum. Jill had a similar issue this past week, so I feel you there. We also have, he is a letterer for series, a freelance editor for series including Dragon Ball Super. I've been trying to get him on, and it's completely my fault that he hasn't been on until today. Brandon Bovey is with us. How's it going, Brandon?
Hi. It may be possible that I've been here this whole time and nobody just noticed.
I should look around more.
But no, seriously, this is my first time on. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
That's a really long Skype call.
I also want to introduce, he is a patron of ours, and he is on for the first time as well this week. We have Dan with us. How's it going, Dan?
So far so good. I am on 3 monsters, so now I am in a very, very productive mood.
Perfect. You may know him as Game Apartment 1C on Twitter. But before we get started, I definitely want to, we're going to get to you too, but it's just some quick little housekeeping before the show. First of all, we've been posting a lot about this, and we really do encourage all of you, if you have not, to donate to the Black Lives Matter movement. We put in $2,500, and we hope that all of you guys either put in time or effort or energy behind that. And we're doing, Brian, Godswill, and Jill and I recorded a podcast yesterday, as of this recording, all about One Piece and politics, the two things that don't get people heated at all. And it was actually a really great discussion. And we don't usually get to kind of talk about that kind of, 30,000 foot view of One Piece and the statements that Oda is making. But it was really cool, and I hope you guys enjoy that. That should be coming out kind of soon. I don't have a specific date as of the moment, so hope you guys enjoy that too. We touch a lot on current events. And we also do want to mention, we took off the week from Patreon. I don't know if we're going to be back next week, but if we are, I'm hoping to do our Animal Crossing Switch episode whenever we do come back. And we do Wednesday episodes normally on Jackbox or Crewing Around, talk about random stuff. You can check all that out, patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. Today, we're going to be going through chapter 981 of One Piece, which is entitled Joining the Fight. We also have some piece together. The anime is still off indefinitely. Don't know when that's coming back yet. But before we get started, usually when we have new guests, we like to ask them a little bit about their One Piece history. So, Brandon, do you want to start? How did you get into One Piece? How do you find yourself here today?
The answer to that question is surprisingly complicated. Because I've tried to get into One Piece maybe like 3 or 4 different times throughout my life. And so each of them is sort of like their own little story in their own right. So I'm going to try to make this as short as possible, but I saw the 4Kids dub on Fox, back in the mid 2000s, and I was like, that's some dumb show. But then I saw that people were celebrating when the English dub switched to Funimation, back in like 2007. So I caught wherever they transitioned, that was like Jaya Skypiea, I think. I caught like random episodes of that and was like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. And then I rented some of the DVDs on Netflix, back when Netflix rented out DVDs. And that was like 2010, 2011. And then me and my big brother, we actually started reading the manga as a joke. We bought that first like omnibus just from like a Books a Million, and we were like, we're gonna do this. We're not actually gonna get through One Piece, and then maybe a couple weeks later, we're just like, oh, this is actually dope. And then over the next year, I just kind of gunned through the manga. So I was first caught up to the manga in 2013. I think that was like the very, very beginning of Punk Hazard, is where I remember being caught up and reading the chapters week to week on. I
can't believe that was 2013. Yeah, it's insane.
It feels, especially now, where a lot of those story plot points that were introduced in Punk Hazard are, we're in Wano, and a lot of that stuff that was introduced back then is bearing fruit, and it's like, wow, it feels sort of particularly yes, literally bearing fruit. So it feels kind of special in that way that the section of One Piece that I caught up to, is still relevant and still very important to the story to this very day. Yeah. And that's just sort of it. I have to say, oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, please.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm not usually caught up with One Piece, actually. I've maybe 3 or 4 times since I originally caught up to Punk Hazard. I usually like to let a backlog of, about 6 months to a year, maybe a year and a half. And then I'll just binge a whole lot. So I'm super excited to have to be caught up again. And
we don't have that luxury.
Chapter. Yeah.
Yeah. Though
honestly, I mean, that's kind of the best way to read the series, honestly, is to, let it build up a little bit.
Steven, don't tell people that. Don't. What are you doing?
I gotta be honest. Just.
Well, okay. I'll have to say, I remember I had learned my lesson because I was reading week to week for a little while. That was like in the midst of Dressrosa, and it got too complicated for me. There were too many moving parts for me to remember week to week. So that was all I was like,
they had that chart, that 2-page spread chart with all the family members.
It was all just
Yep. So by the way, Brandon, I think you make a great point. We don't care if you start reading One Piece out of spite, as long as you stick with it. We're happy.
I mean, yeah, I have to admit that the spite lasted. It was not very long.
Look, you're here. That's what's important. I also want to ask, since I don't know how many of our listeners know, what does a manga letterer do, and what do you do? For how does that all work, and what is the end product there?
So, I guess in layman's terms, well, not really layman's terms, but lettering is kind of like it's a little bit of graphic design, a little bit of typography. So in the context of comics, we're the people who take the written dialogue, in the case of manga, the translation, and, we fit it into the artwork. We're the ones who choose the fonts, make sure all the text is centered, make sure that it's visually appealing and visually consistent to read. That is probably the best description I can give of it. It's sort of a very niche line of work almost, not that many people know about it, but it's super important to the act itself of reading comics. The lettering and the design work that goes into it is sort of like your gateway into having a smooth as possible reading experience. So that is the kind of thing that I, try to keep in mind when I'm doing work on manga. It's what sort of choices can I make that make the reading experience as smooth as possible. So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think people. Yeah.
You work with Viz, so that if you're working on a print releases, that's like the most hardcore kind of lettering you can get, since Viz still does full retouch, I should say.
Yes. So on those titles, particularly titles from Viz, on print books, most of the time we are adapting the Japanese sound effects into English sound effects, and so. Those, unlike American comics, those are hand-drawn into the artwork in manga. So in order to make them into English sound effects, we have to erase the Japanese, put in English sound effects, and redraw all of the art that, so that, the reader doesn't go like, oh, you can just see where they erased the Japanese and put the English in. It's to make, you're redrawing over the art to make, to make it look as seamless as possible, to make it respectful to the original art. And on Dragon Ball Super, which I work on from last October onwards. That is a lot of redrawing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure. So Dan, do you want to tell us a little bit about your history with One Piece?
Oh gosh, my perception of time is so shot these days, so I'll do my best.
Welcome to the club.
I had the pleasure of becoming pretty good friends with a guy by the name of Ian Jones Cordy back in high school, who's gone on to do Steven Universe and OKKO. Let's Be Heroes. And we were actually over at a friend's house watching Kiki's Delivery Service in it was either 2000, 2001. And we were watching the Fox dub, and that's a whole other story. But he had a keychain on his lanyard of this little goofy-looking guy with a straw hat and a red vest, and every time you pushed the top of his head, it would change his face. So I thought it was really weird. I was like, hey, what's that from? And he's like, oh, man, let me tell you about One Piece. And we spent the rest of that evening just going over what it was about and how weird and different it was, because we talked a lot about different things in Western animation. We were both really big fans of Chuck Jones, so a lot of his appeal for One Piece came from how different it was from most other Japanese comics and anime, and kind of looked like some of those older style of Western animated shows. So I ended up, please forgive me, I ended up reading Scanlations way back when, because that was all that was available, and instantly fell in love with how different and weird it looked. I think at that point in time, they'd only maybe gotten to at the very beginning of Logetown in the Scanlations, so got through that, and then was like, man, how do I enjoy more One Piece? What else is there? And hopped on eBay, and the only way to get any of the animated series was to buy bootleg subtitled Chinese DVDs.
Bingo.
So I still have them somewhere. I got to put pictures of them because they're really high quality packaging, to the point where they looked like the official Japanese DVDs, but then you pop them in and it looks like somebody recorded them off of a camcorder with the worst subtitles I have ever seen for anything. But that was how I watched One Piece, was the first 99 episodes in the summer of 2003, and shotgunned all the way through those episodes, and it stopped right as Luffy is about to encounter Crocodile for the first time. And then nothing for 2 years, until finally at that point in time, more of the manga had gotten caught up. Shonen Jump had been released in English, so I was able to go back and read those chapters. But yeah, I affectionately, I will always remember Sanji as Sunkissed by those subtitles.
Yep.
It's got 5 different names, like Crook Boo, Liar Boo, Swindler Boo.
Nami with a Y.
What's
Zoro was Sauron, which I will never forget. But so long story short, I got so into One Piece. Also, please forgive me. This is a very nerdy thing that I'm about to admit.
You are literally on the One Piece podcast.
I don't know who you're talking to here.
Yeah.
To Otakon 2003 and participated in their live action role play, which is you go in, you play as an anime character of your choosing.
That's inexcusably nerdy. I'm sorry.
Embarrassing.
Yeah,
wrong with you?
God. Yeah.
What are you like One Piece or something?
So I played Luffy, and I met a lot of my longstanding friends through that interaction, because nobody there had heard of One Piece, and they're like, "Oh, this guy that stretches and is just very, very happy and loyal to his friends. Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun." And yeah, just been keeping up with it since then. I'm super behind in the anime because I was trying to watch with the official DVD releases, but I've stayed current with the manga, and currently going back and trying to reread through everything now in conjunction with going back and listening to old episodes of the podcast. Wink, wink. So yeah, it's a journey that I do not regret, and it's all thanks to Ian single-handedly.
That's really cool.
So does that mean you're a Marylander?
Yes, unfortunately.
I grew up in Severna Park.
Oh, heck. I'm actually right on the cusp of Ellicott City and Elkridge, which I just doxed myself, but there it is.
I was going to say,
cool.
Would you like to give the rest of your address?
Yeah, I was up until recently, I was living in Bethesda. Now I'm in DC proper. But let me tell you, at 2003, that's around the time, the same exact time I was getting into One Piece, same exact way.
Oh, heck.
And boy, in 2003, I wish I had known you.
There was no one.
Yeah, seriously, that. There was a humongous One Piece drought back then. Not a lot of people will remember that. Only people who like
knew
about One Piece at the
time. Yeah, like I'd say probably up until about 2011 when I started to get more involved in social media. Then it was like, holy crap, people have actually watched and read One Piece as well. This is nuts, and they're not people from Japan. Like, whoa, how does this happen?
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I remember specifically just trying to get everybody I knew into One Piece, and it was very hard to do.
Yeah,
only a couple people like jumped on with me, and I was like, it's like Dragon Ball, and they're like, when is this going to get like Dragon Ball? I'm like, okay, well, not like Dragon Ball Z, like Dragon Ball.
Yeah. I remember always getting to the specific point of the episode where Zoro puts the 3 swords, or he puts the sword in his mouth, and that's always when people would drop off. I'd be like, please watch this show. They'd watch that episode and be like, I'm out. I'm just like, oh, come on, please.
How do you not think this is the coolest thing in the world? 3 swords.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. They'll be gone. Ugh. That's a whole nother topic. It's like he puts a sword in his mouth. Done.
It's like that's the part that.
But they had like, the guitar riff, the cool guitar riff.
You were there for the stretchy pirate, but the sword in the mouth is what does it.
And it's like a defining moment. Like when he puts that sword in his mouth, you're either like, this is stupid, or you're like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Exactly. Because like, especially when you put in the context of, oh, he didn't find himself strong enough with 2 swords, so the only logical place to hold another sword is in his mouth. Like, that's genius. But then everyone's just like, no, that's
if his hair turned blonde or he turned into a giant monkey, it'd be a completely different story.
Yeah, I mean that's completely acceptable.
I was gonna say I definitely had like some strong bad related questions, like how do you talk with a sword in your mouth? But like, yeah, there wasn't gonna be a make or break moment for me. And at that point, some crazy shit had already happened. So yeah, you guys should be like part of the Sunkissed crew or something. Like we've talked a lot about the Hong
love orange soda.
It's a very specific time frame.
Yeah, and for some reason I guess we attract people from that time frame where everyone in that time frame wishes they knew other people at that time watching One Piece, but. That's really cool. What a crazy way to get into One Piece, and what crazy connections there. That's cool. Any other questions for our guests? I mean, we have the whole podcast, but for now. Otherwise, let's get into chapter 981. This is the manga recap for chapter 981, Joining the Fight. Remember, you could read this chapter and all chapters as soon as they come out at shonenjump.viz.com and mangaplus.shueisha.co.jp. It's legal, it's free, and it's worldwide. What are you waiting for? Anyway, Ed, what's going on the cover of Jump this week?
Well, there's a picture of Luffy with a sort of an Eastern umbrella with a big Eastern dragon on it, and he's holding Nidai Kitetsu. So
I was going to ask if that was Nidai Kitetsu.
Well, yeah, you can tell by the hilt.
The hilt?
And yeah, it's got the same one as Sandai Kitetsu.
Yeah. I love the dragon design in the umbrella. That is it's super cool too. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on this before we get into the color spread.
Kind of looks like a fleur-de-lis on his kimono.
Oh,
there.
The hilt? Oh, the kimono. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Cool design.
Okay. Let's talk about this color spread then, Ed. What's going on?
It's funky. It's funky dance club music studio.
No, why don't you read the English at the bottom there? That'll help clear up.
Music
what's
doesn't
going on.
have to a universal language and be translated, I guess.
Steven, can you translate for us?
Every life has S. Pink sake, of course. But yeah, this is cool. Like, there's a rooster wearing sunglasses, and well, I mean, all the animals are wearing sunglasses. Zoro's like passed out drunk.
Except for DJ Sanji Cat.
we all know that friend that's had way too much to drink at the club, and then they pass out.
DJ Sanji Cat, where's Paula Abdul?
Oh my God.
He's dancing.
Let's
that's
go around
looking like a pug or a giant panda. Like what is like? That's pretty cool.
That is just that's probably a big pug. That's a
Party
He's got
animal.
tribal tattoo.
Brooks Cotton
so
Candy
he's some-
hair.
Is he like a professional wrestler from like the early 2000s?
I mean, I don't think his hair is literally cotton candy. I think it's just the lighting.
Yeah, it's just the
honestly.
lighting. I mean,
Funky.
you could try eating it and see what happens. There's the Democratic Party to the right there. No, so there's donkey. There's a donkey.
Dominic the donkey.
Oh, it's a donkey.
Out of season. Oh, damn, there you go, Steve.
He's on vacation, Alex. Give him a hard time.
I love that Usopp has a hat that says "you" on it. And for
Usopp.
some reason,
Well, as we know, Usopp is an alum from Usopp University.
I love
would that
these
be
colors.
2 U's?
Yeah, good old you.
Well, that's a waste of space. Like one U gets both U's across. So
I
I don't
see.
think it's
Exactly.
necessary.
You'd say
Two-
that.
Two U's be. Oh yeah, what if it was U's like the way in Zach, a New Yorker would say?
It would
I
be
was
an
gonna say-
Earth W.
I just gotta say that there's a record here that the Luffy has with the guy's face on it. That's
Yeah.
gotta be a direct reference to something that I don't know.
It
like-
looks like some sort of an Enka album or something.
Something. It's I don't know. It seems to be a direct take on it.
Paul Anka?
Oh, boy. How
But he's
made
holding. He's holding
Definitely
big
made that
sake.
joke. Yeah,
Yeah.
he is holding Big Sake. I'm trying to. What is every life has ST? Like, I'm trying to think of what that's supposed to convey.
Well, the D is silent.
Um,
Everyone lives on a street.
Yeah. Every life has streets. Yes, that's true. Music doesn't have to be a universal language and be translated. I guess that's what
I'm assuming. Yeah.
that says.
Mhm.
Chopper's got a shirt that's got words on it.
All right.
Wait.
Music doesn't have to TGIF Fridays.
I do want to say, since we're pulling the spread apart, but this is probably one of the most gorgeous color spreads I've seen in a very long time, and I think
Very
the
I
community
think-
has been saying that. But
Very unique.
I think a lot of
Yes.
us had the same reaction when we saw this color spread. It's like, damn, why didn't this chapter come out before we did our top 5 color spreads?
it's really nice. Yeah.
It's really good. I don't know.
I
I'm still happy with my list.
oh yeah, me too. But I really like
You really like
the lighting.
Sanji.
I kind of like how he goes without saying. I do like Sanji Cat. That's great. But I like him using Oda using orange and like pink as like the base colors and using blue as like the highlight, the light source, and it looks great. And just like this really confined studio space here, this little club here. I like it a lot.
So,
and
is
like
that why
and
is
the
that why
green here and there really
Yeah.
pops too.
Like a
on,
karaoke room.
Luffy's- Yeah.
So Frankie, Robin, and Jinbei are all missing. I'm
Zach,
should be
didn't you get
wondering.
kicked out of this bar in Kabukicho?
They're too old.
Ah, Jesus. Jesus.
Yeah, they're the older folks. That's
They're the ones who went home at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
The old
Yeah.
ones.
even
Guys,
Frankie.
Yeah, I'm surprised Frankie's not there. Yeah, this reminds me a lot of the since we were just talking about color spreads, these are like all fresh in my head too. The Mermaid Cafe one and the lighting experimentation, I guess is the best way to put it.
Man, Nami's shirt is really cool.
What does it say?
wish I knew what it
What's
said.
on it?
Mod lady.
Yeah.
Let's zoom in.
Yeah, it is a mod lady.
She's got the
Music
feel.
is a thing.
Music
Swinging
is
60s. Here I come, baby.
music is maybe good for the soul. I see soul there at the bottom.
Yeah.
But you're
Maybe music is the soul.
Music is a something of the soul. If only
It's
the
chicken soup for the soul, and she's right next to a chicken. That's a rooster, I guess.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Buck.
I want to know what the pug is holding here, because I'm not sure if that's liquor or just red bean soup.
It says red, I think, or red. It's like
Red
red
rum?
stag.
Red rum.
Oh God.
That's what I thought.
Jack Daniels to me.
That looks like a B. REDBE. Did we go too far into things on this
Red bum?
podcast?
No, we don't.
Red Robin, yum.
Right. Should we move on?
Yeah,
wait,
what's going on?
Did anyone,
Oh, Maddie,
did anyone
please.
mention Zoro's scar fell off?
Red beard.
Forgot to
yeah,
mention
Zorda's
that, yeah.
scar.
Oh.
Down.
Yeah,
Good
it just
for
falls
him.
off. You know.
No, the music,
Oh.
the music heals all wounds.
Or maybe it's a time
music.
paradox.
Music grew his eye back.
Well, we don't know if he grew his eye back. The scar is missing.
His
His eyes
never
are closed, so.
I don't know. Why don't we talk about that for another 20 minutes and discuss
Okay.
our theories?
Wow.
Gladly.
Shot fired.
Yeah.
Pew, pew.
It's, by Steve. Ed, what's going on the first page?
Jeez, I'm just making a joke. Calm down, guys.
Ooh, jeez.
So Kid has Pooh down, he probably makes that noise like in a cartoon when the grand piano like crashes because he punched him in the face. Like
That's
oh, man.
amazing. Yeah.
So the I guess the underlings are like, what happened to Pooh? Like, or they notice, hey, that guy's not one of ours. That's Captain Kid. Wah.
But that can't be Captain Kid. He has horns, and Captain Kid has none.
Is that a reference?
I don't get it.
I don't
No,
think
it's
it was a
I
reference.
was
I thought it was just funny.
wasn't. No,
It's
not
the
everything I
boys.
say has to be a reference.
No, that's Steve. You're thinking of Steve.
All right.
Go ahead, Ed.
Okay, so they're confused. Like, another one of the worst generation? Thought he was supposed to be imprisoned in Udon, too. But the best part is here we get to see Queen's reaction. Like, bah! His eyes bug out. And he's like, Babanuki! Wasn't everything supposed to be just fine in Udon? Like, I got no problems here, Chief.
That's a good
Jesus.
Babanuki impression.
You were real proactive about joining our alliance, Kid continues. He says, I should have figured it out right away. You were already an informant for Kaido. And he's got him by the collar. And Apu is bleeding pretty good there. And Apu sort of retorts with, do you really think that us teaming up would tip the scales to the point of crushing one of the four emperors? Wake up to the real world. What kind of alliance between pirates is ever going to have a happy ending? I thought you were already dead. And
By
so
the
he
way,
gets, yep.
Sorry, this is really stupid to butt in with, but I am so upset that one of Apu's teeth didn't fall out like a piano key in one of those cartoons because that was a missed opportunity here. But go ahead.
It's hard to
it's
show
like,
in the comic.
Steve.
Animating a comic page, Zach, is a lot of strain on the artist's wrists.
Oh,
So-
I see. Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that eventually somebody plays or Apu plays the all of our charming young memories or charming young gentlemen bit where
I just want a bomb to blow up or just an explosion to blow up in Apu's face, and we could do the Looney Tunes thing where it plays a song before all his teeth fall out.
that's
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
exactly.
I mean, like I was getting to that because the dun 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 dun.
Oh, you stupid rabbit!
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
that one. Mhm.
Looney Tunes available now on HBO Max.
Yeah, they got all of them. It's great.
So Apu frees himself with a slash, and Kid's bleeding now, and Apu's like, "Right, Kid," and Kid's pretty happy about he's getting into the fight, and he calls Apu trash, and the underlings are like, "Queen, I gotta say, these guys might be tough to take in alive. You have permission to kill." And he takes a big drag off the cigar, face in shadow.
We go to the next page as everyone is thrilled about this, especially the guy with bear paws for ears. Or
Okay.
Wait a minute.
there's a lot going on with this
It's
this smile fruit user.
It's
got
Let's
Grizzly
just talk
Man.
about this.
Grizzly
Grizzly Man. It's okay.
Must never listen to this.
So yeah, I don't know. The other ones seem to just be pleasures or something. I can't tell what's going on with that tall guy, but whatever. It is weird. We talked about how Kid's crew looks the same as Kaido's crew already. Like they were basically wearing the same uniform, and it is true. Although Kid is missing his horns in the next panel. Anyway, yeah. So they notice. Oh, let's get out of here, Kid. And also, look, there's Killer. And here comes Ha-cha-cha-cha-cha. As we see, I think this is a sneaker walking by. As he says, look, you got to stay out of this. You're not even good enough to be one of the Toby Ropo, even if you kill him. And he swings down a mace. And this looks to be one of the numbers, as he says "hacha," which
I wonder which of the numbers he is.
I wish I knew.
I wish it was written on a big logo thing on the next page.
Well, maybe we'll find out soon. But let's not assume things here, guys. Let's see what happens.
Getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, literally like 3 panels ahead of ourselves. Kid leaps out of the way. Someone noting that 2 men are down already. And Kid is like, can they not even control that guy? Is he a giant? No, he looks bigger than a giant. And his name is Hacha. And he is number 8 of the numbers. And he is drunk and burping. And someone says someone tells him to knock it off. And meanwhile, someone says, "I've got you, kid," and obviously, definitely will have gotten him. Takes one of his bows, strikes him, but Luffy comes in the way, stopping it, and there's a big explosion. It's great. Wish you could be there. And Luffy says, "Let's run to the castle together, Jaggy." Now, this is where the fan fiction would start for this relationship here.
Kid's pretty angry, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The funny thing about this, the panels with Hacha here, is that like I have to use Kid as like the sort of the authorial voice when he says like, "Is he a giant?" He looks even bigger because like if you looked at that, the panel with him smashing the people, if he had said like he's not quite as big as a giant, I would believe him. If he said he's exactly the size of a giant, I would believe him. If he said he's larger than a giant, I would believe him. It's like it's impossible to tell with Oda's like perspective and his scaling and stuff.
And also how many people are like 30 feet anyway, and they're completely normal people. Yeah.
Right.
Dan, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so on the next page we pick up with Luffy, Zoro, Kid, and Killer, and Luffy says, "I should have known. You just had to go and cause a scene, Jaggy." And in true fashion, Zoro retorts, "You're the last one who should be talking, Luffy." And then Kid follows up with, "Same to you, Roronoa." And poor Killer, who I sympathize with, says, "They're all idiots." And this is all told over the scene of the Animal Pirates still having their festivities and not really paying attention to the din in the other room. So things move down at the next panel, and Apu is getting ready for another attack and says, "Check it out." And that's when Killer in the next panel gives the words of wisdom, says, "Cover your ears." And the other 3 instantly put their hands over their ears. And the last panel on the page treats us to one of Apu's attacks that's brilliantly drawn, with him screaming out, "Boom!" And Luffy, Zoro, and poor Kid all grimace in pain as they try and cover their ears. And then from there, going up to the next page, looks like Apu's kind of upset that his attack didn't go through correctly and says, "Tisk." And following next, you have Killer saying, "Apu's attacks carry anywhere in hearing range. If you hear it, there's no avoiding it. Watch out for sneak attacks." And have a good laugh at seeing that because they've got their ears covered, Kid, Zoro, and Luffy can't hear anything that he's saying, so they respond with, "Was that?" And as the page continues, I'm assuming next word bubble says, "Did you hear about how Killer ate one of the failed smile fruits? It turned into one of the pleasures." And it kind of does like a little bit of a flashback where you can see, I always mess up the names here, so I apologize. That's not Kaido. What is his name?
Orochi.
Orochi, yes, thank you.
He wishes he was Kaido.
Yeah. And it says, "Eat this, and I'll give you a chance to save your captain." And you can see a couple of little silence dots coming from Killer as he's kind of deep in thought. And as the scene continues, it goes down to the bottom panel and has Kid asking, "What's so funny?" And there's a bunch of explosions, and they're running through the crowd and attacking as they're going along. And someone's screaming, "Stop it, Kid!" And that's when Luffy says, "Stop causing a scene." He's making a very funny trademark Oda screaming face. And then we look upon a mysterious figure who's up on the balcony who says, "So they escaped from Udon," and he's smoking a cigarette, and he's got a...
Who is this? Okay. Sorry.
Actually, I want to point out something, too, that I think probably a lot of people may have missed, which is that every time Apu uses one of his attacks, so, it's always an onomatopoeia that he does, and every time he does that, the sound effect is the same thing in the panel that he's doing it. And so, like, if you go back and look at the earlier ones, like when he slashes Kid, he goes slash, and then the sound effect says slash. But if you look in the panel where they cover their ears and he says boom, and then it's just a whoosh sound effect. So they don't hear the sound, which is kind of a cool touch.
Oh, neat.
I like that.
That is a cool touch. Alex.
So yes, it's Who's Who and what I'm assuming is his pirate crew, which is a whole. I mean, he's like a crazy cat lady, except he's a crazy cat steer man. Crazy cat cowboy.
I think he's a swinger.
Yeah. A real Tom.
Take one look at this group. They swing. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a couple cat girls on his arm, a little arm candy, and not only do they get his arm, but they also get his sword too. We also have a giant tiger-looking person, a giant barrel-bodied kitty, and a little granny kitty. And
that's the crazy cat lady.
Neko Baba, I guess, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. Nice.
Yeah. So Mr. Mr. Who's Who, I guess this other guy might be in his crew as well, but he's a swarmy looking fella. He says, "Well, you give a chase, there's glory to be had." And Who's Who says, "Forget them, just a few rats. Focus on finding Yamato and reporting in."
Is he Sam
We'll
Elliott?
do much. Well,
He's a cat guy. You didn't know?
that's right. He's a cat guy, cow man. We'll do much better by finding him. Don't let Sasaki beat us. And they say, "Yes, sir." And as he looks up at Queen, who's gregging up the place, he's "I've heard enough out of Queen. He wants to kill someone? Well, so do I." So it looks like
ominous.
We could also rename this guy to Admiral Bone to Pick. General Grievance.
I love that. Nice.
Meanwhile, somewhere else in Onigashima that has yet to be revealed, some stomping and tromping and wahahan is occurring, and it's Big Mom, presumably behind the paper wall. She says, Mama, I've gotten in touch. Sounds like the ship is just fine. They'll be arriving soon." And then they say, somebody on the other end says, "That's strange. There are no signs of ships at the main port, Big Mom." And she says, "Port? What do you mean, port?" And they say, "Huh?" And I do wonder if this is something that gets lost in translation here, Stephen, or if there's a...
No, it's just literally... Because remember, they were trying to go up the waterfall, and they're just sort of like, "Wait, what do you mean? Why didn't you go in the port?" Like the... where was it? It was
Hakuma.
The elevator.
Region. Yeah.
Okay.
Secret
They
elevator.
go through the cave thing, and then it goes up the well.
That's great. Yeah. She didn't know about that until just now. Okay,
Which
just occurred
telegraphs
to
what
me.
happens later too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
They're actually doofuses. Like, they're stupid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, no one denied that Big Mom's crew is kind of stupid, but they're all pirates. They're all kind of stupid, you know.
True.
Yeah.
All right, and we have a little bit of narration and a little, in a big One Piece arc in the anime. This would be one of the 5-minute long episode recaps. So here we see on the east side of Onigashima, Team Kinemon, Eastern Forces, and we see the little chibi face of Kinemon and crew. They're going to the right of Onigashima on by foot.
Oh, and it has the compass, so you can see why it's the eastern and the southern forces.
I'm really happy this was added
them.
this time. Yeah, because I remember we had a long discussion on
It was very
great.
confusing.
It was extremely confusing.
There's normally, like, that's the first time I think I might be remembering a compass in any One Piece map, unless I'm just like, or one of these little maps, unless I'm just an observant. That's a cool touch. I like it. The enemy still has not heard of the samurai's approach. To take advantage of the situation, the plan evolves on the spot. So everybody's an improviser. As we see some more of scenery of Onigashima, brilliantly drawn. I'd love to exploit myself, given the fact that it's a Richard Hive of scum and villainy. Let's just take that. Let's not take that into account. Here's a panel of Team Kinemon, in addition to Shishilian and the Musketeers, Chopper riding on top of the Brachio tank, and I believe that is Sanji, who is chatting up Butterfly Lady, right?
Yeah.
There in the back.
The Yakuza boss. What's her face? Ocho, that's right. Yes.
So, right on top of tanks often?
Who are you?
Got a light. Rather than sending all of the samurai to the rear entrance, they split into two groups at the halfway point of the path. So it explains here that half of them peel off to infiltrate the Skull Dome from the side, where they will blend among the enemy and await the attack on Kaido. So, yes, half of them will go to the back, half of them will come in from the front. In this way, they plan to execute a pincer attack on Kaido and Orochi. Now, that's what I call some stratagem.
I do like how the Buddha-looking guy I just noticed next to the cat musketeer is also wearing the ridiculous Kaido outfit. It's a very odd juxtaposition is all I wanted to say there. Yeah. Steve.
The narrator continues. This is like it started with a miscalculation, the presence of an expansion not found on the old mansion plans. A long bridge was along the waterside where wisteria bloom in full view of a newer pleasure hall. And let's take a look at this scene right here, because it's another gorgeous establishing shot. I love the way the architecture is depicted here. It's just thicker and rounder. And of course, like just with all like the with the trees just covering the foreground, this is just gorgeous. Disregarding the current situation here, I would love to just take a walk down this pathway here. This is beautiful.
Yeah, I'm sure Onigashima is plenty beautiful. If it wasn't, like utterly terrifying. The architecture is gorgeous for a place that's so horrible.
You just got to remove like the fascist dictators out of there, and I think it'll be a much more enjoyable place.
Now, Pleasure Hall, that's a hostess club, right?
Sure. Yeah, it's.
Yes,
for the geisha.
If you had a rowboat here, this would be a good place to kiss the girl.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's Kinemon High School Host Club, whatever. I don't know.
Okay, I'll write that down.
No, it would be Oiron Host Club.
That's what I was thinking, but she's nowhere to be seen.
Nice.
She might be
Damn
there.
it! I should have just went with my gut.
Yeah.
She might. Oh, what am I doing here in a pleasure hall?
Go ahead.
A pleasurer.
Go ahead.
So Sanji, as animated by Tex Avery, starts going like, Kinemon, there's a pleasure hall here. Ooh, ooh. Boing, boing, hopping around. Hubba, hubba. And Kinemon says, over 2,000 soldiers crossing this bridge will look very unnatural. As Mr. Narrator comes back in, it's like, this hall belongs to Black Maria of the Toby Ropo. And so we see Brandon on top of the entrance. Woman trouble.
What does that specifically translate to, Stephen? Like just those two words? Or
yeah. The implication is the same. It's like, I guess that's her pithy title for her catchy title for her brothel here.
She's a bad girl.
There's a man just walk in there. I'm like, I'm looking for some trouble, and I want it to be in the form of a woman.
Well, trouble's what you're going to be getting.
Yeah, Pop-O-Matic trouble. The board game, guys.
I know.
Steve, you want to continue the Tex Avery?
Yeah. With the Zoop and Aziz, Sanji multiforms his way down the pathway. It's like he's being caught in a tractor beam right into the pleasure hall. And Nami chimes in. This is like, we'll go infiltrate the building too, Kinemon. And Shinobu says, we'll make up a team to search for Lord Momonosuke. And Kinemon thinks back to Momonosuke, who said he'll find a way to escape on his own. So I'm curious what I feel like Kinemon's like. Should we even try? I don't know. Kid seems like he's got a good idea.
Look at the vein on the side of his neck.
Yeah. But now he says, "Hey, I know you're worried about him. Let us take care of it." And in this panel, Carrot likes to remind you that she is here, and she is also in a sexy Animal Kingdom's pirate outfit. She's like, "Hey, Kinemon, look what I'm wearing. Isn't it hot?" It's like, "Hey, focus."
It feels like her head on like a different character's body.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Ears up here.
Hey, Kinemon, I shaved. Isn't that weird?
Jesus Christ.
But focus. Yes, focus on the fight on Kinemon. And Kinemon says, I'm grateful. To be honest, my mind has been scarcely present. And then I don't know. Then Carrots is like, well, get present. But then someone says, oh, look, over yonder, someone is coming out of the pleasure hall. And with a swish, someone does the sad Charlie Brown walk out of the pleasure hall.
Good grief.
Brandon.
Good grief indeed.
It's Sir Sanji, and you've got Sanji in like this high contrast, just gloom. So, I don't think he saw any women in there. And he is just utterly
I see no women in here.
And broken of a man. And then, if there are no women in the pleasure hall, Kinemon says, there certainly won't be any men. And the narration goes, after the disturbance with Luffy at the party, the pleasure hall was basically empty. And then we can cross the bridge. So we've got this shot here in the next panel of the samurai team splitting up into two, where you've got the infiltration team head through the building. Kinemon says, they answer, you bet, that's the spirit, good answer. And Kinemon continues, the rest of you follow me. So they're splitting off into two groups. Got it. Keep an eye on the windows of the pleasure hall, he says. If you spot a figure in them, and there's somebody, presumably Big Mom, I hear a lot of noise outside, just beyond the window, Russell. Kinemon, oh no, jump into the water. And, you just see a bunch of splash, everybody jumping in to hide, and Big Mom opening up.
Taking a bath.
Opening up the window. Sorry. And the only one left is Chopper, and he's flipping out, and Big Mom has like this deadpan stare. It is just the most wonderful reaction.
I cannot emphasize how much I love these.
Chopper's the perfect
panels.
character for this guy.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. And this is when Chopper became a man. A male reindeer.
He's
the worst way.
He's just a reindeer, though.
Unfortunately, Chopper is clearly like he's the rubbernecker that's just passing by. He's shook, but he just keeps driving on.
He's just completely terrified. He's all fear.
I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but like the way Chopper looks exactly like Meow Moo from the Arlong arc. Like when he sees Luffy and Zoro again at Arlong Park.
Oh, Momu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Momu.
The black eyes. Yeah, for sure. Just empty rings.
The way the Brachio tank is very probably slowly going across the
squeak, 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 squeak.
Right. Oh, love it.
Just play along.
Yeah. And the last thing, I guess, also just the two panels of Chopper and Big Mom next to each other somehow look the same and also completely different.
Very different.
I love it. Anyway, go ahead.
Unfortunately, we'll have to wait to see the fallout of this encounter as the scene transitions out. Outside the falls on the outside of Wano.
Steven. Sorry, I cut you off.
There's just two lines left. So hang on, brothers and sisters. This somebody goes and
There we go, Steven.
And we see that it is Perospero, and why aren't they going in the port? I don't know. They're trying to go up the waterfall again. He is back for revenge. You haven't seen The Last of Us, King Perorin. Climb the falls. As the ship attempts round two, And I love that he's still doing the sound effects with the octopus, I guess. The yo boom 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 boom. And the rest of the family is saying, "Why is there no other way into this country? It's just crazy." And they're also commenting on this whole alliance thing that they're talking about. It's completely irrational. So obviously they have been completely out of the loop during all of these other events that are happening. What is Mama thinking? But Smoothie is she's a good soldier. She's just like, Mama decided, we follow. And
Sheeny Weenie Daifuku.
Yes. Daifuku.
Yeah.
I can't keep them separate. He's like, Alliance, remember why we're here in the first place. Right. Remember who ruined Mama's honor and our reputation. And Galette says, we have to cut off Straw Hat's head and show the world. So they're all
worst of them all.
They're all raring for revenge. And yes, here she is. Flampe says, I don't really care about all of that. I just want to be Kaido's new favorite. So
and she
it's
fell
nice to see
off the boat and never was seen again after that.
It's nice to know she has her priorities straight at all times. She knows what she's about.
Still awful.
The worst.
And you get a shot of the ship, and it's hooked up to all these fish that are climbing the falls. Here we are in Wano. Let's take out Straw Hat and talk about the alliance afterwards. Prepare for battle. Don't be caught unawares. And Prospero warns them. Remember, this is exactly where that hateful king was waiting. As he remembers King in his pterodactyl form. And there it is. It's a bird. It's a plane. And he says, King? Not again. Wait, no, it's not him.
Alex?
And we get a zoom in on Marco. And turns out Marco is in Smash Brothers now. Marco rises above the occasion, or rises to the occasion, I guess, would be the title phrase for that. And when he seems just as surprised to see the Big Mom Pirates as they are of him. And he says, oh, so the story about the Big Mom Pirates Alliance was true after all. I'm not doing it anymore.
I forgot that was your voice for him. Oh, my God. That's a 10-year-old gag. That is a 10-year-old gag.
Oh, my goodness.
Marco, you're grounded.
Oh, shucks. Still got it. And yes, it's the former Whitebeard Pirates leader of the First Division, Marco the Phoenix. And he's got his glasses, so he's Dr. Marco. And he says, well, let's knock you out of the picture. Phoenix Brand. And it's literally the same attack that King used to topple the ship so many chapters before that. Of course, Prospero is freaking out. Are you kidding me? Genie Weenie and Smoothie are saying, not again. Why is Marco here? And I love this.
Looks like the Big Mom Pirates are blasting off again.
Me out, that's right. I love the juxtaposition of the that follows the three panels vertically. That's so good.
And even just the he. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So good. And Marco remarks, and the next time you show up, the times may have moved on a bit more than before. That means you'll all be wearing glasses, just like me.
You're going to come up that waterfall in around 20 minutes, and you'll all be wearing glasses.
Yes. So the Queen Mama Shantae falls in the foreground, but in the background, it's the Steve Yurko pirate ship. Making its way up the waterfall. Got an elephant on the masthead and a big old pineapple in the middle.
The 1,000 Yurko.
That's right, the 1,000 Yurko. And of course, we know who both of these characters are, so I'll just say that Cat Viper says, where's that? Big old ship falling over there. And a figure who can only be Izo says, look upward. It was Marco's work. Haven't seen it since that war. And next chapter hits next week, baby.
That's the biggest news of all.
we wanted all along.
For the first time in months, we are getting 2 chapters in a row. But let's focus on the present here, guys, just like Kinemon's trying to do, and talk about this week's chapter. Let's start with Brandon. What did you think of this week's?
I picked a good chapter, and by I picked, I got lucky enough to be on this episode of the podcast with this chapter, because there's just, oh my gosh, there's so much going on. There's, Kid versus Apu. There's all that getting resolved. There's that you see the Kinemon squad just slowly making their way through Onigashiba, and just that reveal. I cannot wait to see what will happen with Chopper and Big Mom. I don't know. This chapter was packed. It had everything.
Yeah.
And of course, Marco. Can't forget Marco.
I mean, we could talk about Marco all day.
Yes, obviously.
Dan, what did you think of the chapter?
11 out of 10. Would read again. But in all seriousness, yeah, like just to echo what Brandon said, it is chock full of good classic One Piece things. Like there's a lot of really great, brilliant gags. Admittedly, I love anytime Oda gets to use those little mini maps with the chibi figures. Like those give me so much life.
We're gonna see a lot of those, I bet.
Oh God, I can't wait. It's just gonna be page after page of just compass directions and all that good stuff. But it also has some of my favorite goofs. Just anytime when something serious is happening, and of course, Luffy and Zoro are just being bonkers stupid, and somebody has to try and rein them in, like we kind of saw with a couple chapters ago with Jinbei and Robin kind of being the mom and dad of the Straw Hats in that little encounter. But yeah, it's setting up some bigger things. I'm excited to see how things go again, seeing what the fallout is for our good buddy Chopper, but also if One Piece has taught me anything, and there's a weird little line of dialogue that is just kind of there, I think it's going to pay back tenfold. And I'm especially excited for Kinemon's line of saying, if there are no women in the pleasure hall, there certainly won't be any men. So we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, a lot of really great characters making reappearances, and I think it's gonna. Ooh, we're getting that double whammy. So next week's gonna be really, really exciting.
Oh yeah.
On a completely unrelated note, I just realized that boat at the very end, because I hadn't noticed it before, that must be Cat Viper's boat, because didn't they also have that pineapple in Zoe? And also the masthead would be, I guess, Tsunesha, or Tsunesha related in that case.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pineapple is definitely part of their village.
Right. Yeah. So even though... I guess it's just coincidental then that there's a pineapple and also Marco's there.
There's 2 pineapples.
One is on the sea, one is above the sea, none under the sea. Steven, what do you think?
Yeah, really fun times. I think it was I think it's safe to say that kind of the collective wisdom had figured out before this chapter that with the Pooh's powers that it was going to be like directly sound based, in the sense that how do you counteract it? You just block your ears, and that seemed to do the trick. So I'm kind of curious as to how, like with that known now, how does Oda like maintain tension like with fighting Apu? Is it going to be like, okay, well, we have to hold our hands over our ears while we fight him, so maybe you need Sanji here to kick him or something like that? I'd be curious to see like what he'll do with that later on. The gags were super fun. Obviously, I think the Chopper and Big Mom stuff is great, as is the repeat of the Big Mama Shantae getting kicked again. And so my reaction, this is kind of funny because like Marco isn't even necessarily my favorite character by any stretch. And we all sort of expected that he was going to show up at some point. But I couldn't be a YouTube like reaction kind of guy, because I see all this stuff in the chapter for the first time, and I rarely have any kind of like visceral reaction. Like I on the inside I'm feeling it, but it's not like I really do much of anything while I'm just sitting there reading the chapter. But when I got to the last page and like flipped it over and saw, oh, this is, you know, that it's Marco. I made this sound that was like, oh, because it was just such a great surprise and a great way to bring it in and kind of be like it's a bit thrilling and also a bit of a joke because of the way that he's knocking out the you know, the kids of Big Mom's family. Yeah, it's just really fun. I totally agree with the with Alex's you know, Smash Brothers. Marco rises to the occasion. It's just filling out the roster for this big war we're about to see. And it's exciting.
Everyone is here, Steven.
Yeah.
Everyone is here. Yeah.
Except for the Big Mom kids, apparently.
We get a written note from Oda that says, "Don't ask me for anything again."
Who else do we have here? Steve.
It's another fun chapter. It's not one of my favorites. I like this, not to be a troll, but I like that Apu is actually he could take a few licks and keep kicking. I think we talked about before how some people were outraged that one of the worst generation can go toe to toe with other members of the worst generation. But as soon as you nerf his power by covering your ears, it is a huge weakness for him. So yeah. I like that. You know, it's so be satisfied with that. Okay. I like Apu, even though he's a scumbag. The numbers. So we see our first numbers here, it being Hacha, and I'm a little disappointed in his design. But then again, this is just one character. I was expecting a lot more beastly looking creatures, and now we just have like more just tall people
with Jack's hair.
Like a jersey. He's very goofy. Like pants.
Let's not talk about this horrible Bob. I'm surprised Hacha's like, I'm Hacha. It's like, I'm one of the numbers from the Kingdom of Wano. This is Cringer, my feline friend.
Oh my god.
Also, I am blitzed right now. So I kind of hope there's a little bit more variation with them. But then again, I mean, those are tough to design. But I think, you know, we made nods to like where the wild things are when they were first introduced. And man, I kind of want some a little bit more of that. I don't want just versions of what we have, just, you know, free transform and just shifts, you know, or not necessarily, you know, it's not like a scale transform. I think someone just hit the transform tool and just moved it up. So I don't know. I would like a little more variation there with some of these henchmen here. I like this the team up here with the two captains and their two right-hand mans. It was really like them covering their ears. Like, was really funny. Do you guys find it odd at all that Oda's using the narrator a lot to get exposition across? I feel like when we were finding out about stuff like Fishman Island, it was constantly the characters telling us stuff. I just find it very strange that Oda's using the narrator here to talk about, oh, there's actually a new pleasure hall here that no one really knows about.
I think go ahead.
I just think my reasoning is probably because this would probably take too much panel space of having characters saying this instead of just like, well, I could just I'll have the shot here and I just have the narrator explain it.
I thought it was the aesthetic of Wano is the kind of fairy tale vibe that he's going for. Like, and then over here is the beautiful wisteria bloom. We find the new pleasure hall. Like, that's. I assumed that is the atmosphere he's going with. Although I do agree with you. I don't know if you were going to have a statement as to how you feel about it, but I tend to like when that kind of exposition can be shown and not told. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it feels a little too much telling and not showing. It feels very JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, having the narrator come in and telling us how to feel. Well, not necessarily telling us how to feel, but it doesn't break. It doesn't break the story for me right now. It's just something I picked up on, and I honestly think it's because if I had Kinemon saying all this stuff, it would lead to some really dull panels and page layouts. So might as well just get the information out quicker. It's cool.
I agree with you, Steve. I mean, that's a totally fair point. But I will say also that like having the narrator say that, it's a very different voice, and so it adds a little bit more, I guess, variety to the text. Just speaking as a translator, because I have to notice these things. Sometimes he gets a little poetic with like the scene with the wisteria trees and so on, and that's something that you don't always get from the characters.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're not going to have characters take time out of this upcoming battle to talk about all the nice foliage. It's cool to see Marco back. It was a nice surprise, but to me, the highlight of this chapter is just the moment of just the Brachio tank slow. I can imagine just slowly creeping by this window as Big Mom peers out and Chopper is in absolute shock. That was the highlight of this chapter for me.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, great chapter. I thought it was great. Loved it. Apu's power owns. I think I said it last week. I will watch a billion chapters of him fighting. It's so cool. Totally called how his power works. Can't see it, but I just brushed some dirt off my shoulder. Yeah, I agree with Steve on the numbers. Oda, where are the wild things at? We want the wild things.
Hey, Goober, where are the wild things at?
Yeah, well, they're not here. I mean, maybe some other ones look like wild things, but why are they bigger than giants? We'll find out at some point. I'm assuming. Who's Who and Queen, like, this isn't the first time like Who's Who and Queen have had recently even like a reference to some sort of weird rivalry. Perhaps
we only knew Who's Who recently, so
no. But I mean, basically, his character trait thus far has just been like, "Man, I hate Queen. I sure wish I had his spot," and it makes me wonder if they were vying for the same spot at some point. So that's an interesting thing. Naked Big Mom, perhaps. I don't know. We don't know.
No. It's pronounced naked.
Sorry, Naked Big Mom. I'm assuming that's what Sanji saw in the pleasure hall.
I'm also assuming that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to bring that up.
Yeah, I didn't put two and two together there, but yeah, that's his mother-in-law in there.
Randy, don't. Yeah, that.
My first read was that it was just disappointment, but yeah, I guess if you saw in there, that would better explain that face that Sanji made.
Yeah.
I'm relieved Kaido wasn't in there to be like, go get some rubbers.
The big ones. I do wonder though if it were Big Mom and perhaps maybe he should have notified the troops, or maybe he is notifying the troops as they're running. Who knows? Either way, Chopper's face is amazing. I do wonder if she'll just be like, "Oh, hey, remember me? I'm Olin." Like she'll have like a weird Fred Flintstone moment again. That'll just snap her into Olin mode.
I mean, Alex, do you recall if Chopper and Big Mom met one-on-one in Whole Cake Island, like when she was?
Oh, they definitely did. But I think but Chopper might have been in his giant form at the time. Or did she see him as she knows that he can transform. I do know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was trying to remember their interactions in Whole Cake Island, and I don't remember them at all.
Yeah, well, Chopper's in it now. He is in the shit, as they say, throughout this entire arc. And yeah, the Marco reveal was absolutely hysterical. Like the figure of the winged figure in the background. Like I totally thought it was King again.
Gotcha.
It was a 100% gotcha moment, and I had a similar reaction to Steven, except he was way more vocal than me. I was like, oh my god, I was like screaming, I was like shaking. I was Bethany was right next to me reading, and it was like it took me everything not to just scream and blow her eardrums. But I think what got me really excited was Izo. Izo showing up, and I'm like, yes, they're all here. They're completing the collection. I love it to death. And Greg pointed out something on Twitter that like I think we talked about like ages ago about how perhaps that this this entire arc would echo Momotaro because Kaido is an Oni, and we've got a cat, or we saw the baboon and Komichio, or so there's your red dog, your yellow monkey, and where's the blue pheasant? And here comes Marco. I mean, you know, I guess Dogstorm could be the dog, and the monkey could be Luffy as well. So that's another
Luffy Taro.
Yes, I completely forgot about the Momotaro connection just because this arc has gone all over the place. But yeah, here's
Momonosuke. We've talked about this before.
Yes. But yeah, that's it for me. I'm really excited and doubly excited that we get more next week.
Ed,
you guys covered pretty much everything, but I do want to say that Oda's been keeping it light, I think, and that's sort of kept a lot of this running around from becoming sort of dull. But there's jokes and sort of lightness everywhere, like Queen, like his eyes bugging out about like Babanuki and stuff like that, and I just like Kid getting straight into Apu's face over betraying him, and just having that whole fight. Like, I love how Kid is so like quick to like fight. He's like Luffy, but like in a different way. Yeah. But you guys have pretty much mentioned everything at this point. Chopper's reaction to this, he's the perfect character to get that gag as like the only as like a non-human, like, because he has like just pure terror on his face from Big Mom.
He's an innocent
being traumatized. Well, yeah, like being traumatized before, like it's a unique reaction. You wouldn't get that from any other character.
It's also a complete copy of the original time he saw Olin, on the beach.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Which has been made into
one of the last.
Yeah. I was just
in one of the last anime episodes.
Yeah, and it's one of like the big gifts that come up now for Chopper on Twitter, at least, and I love it. And I keep thinking of it, so I see this same exact face all the time. Yeah. Amazing. Anything else, Ed?
No, you guys pretty much covered it all.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say my last thoughts. I mean, I'm definitely a subscriber to the Sanji saw Big Mom theory there, and that whole 2 pages. What is that? Pages 14, 15. Some of the highlight of this arc for me, maybe definitely comedically. This was a very, very funny chapter.
Oh yeah.
I think it laid a foundation, especially with Marco and Izo, and Cat Viper specifically. I'm really excited to see them enter the scene. I am very upset that Zunisha is not who took them there, but I'll get over that. Maybe he's around somewhere else. Maybe that's how Dogstorm got there. I'm not giving up on Zunisha being parked off the side of Wano. I've been saying it since the beginning of this arc, and I'm hoping it comes true. Anyway, this chapter, we've basically said what we said. I agree with Steve about Hacha, and I hope we see more wild things. I'm trying to think if there's like anything that hasn't been said. Oh, I hate Perospero and I hate Flampe more. And so I was really happy to see what happened there. I'm like, oh, her?
Well, now you don't have to look at him anymore.
Can't catch a break. And
I'm really hoping that we see them one more time, and it's as the Straw Hats are leaving Wano and they end up pushing them off again.
Yes.
If only.
This is an amazing running gag. It doesn't completely make a ton of sense why it takes so long for them to get back up again, but not going to look into that. As long as they get hurt, I'm happy. There's a lot of Schadenfreude happening with this portion of the Big Mom crew. I'm trying. Smoothie's okay. The rest of them, Montour has a cool power, and I know nothing about Gillette, but
no, but Montour is like so hapless though. He was terrible. He was he was not in control of anything.
Yeah. It's such a uniquely One Piece thing to have character like the antagonists from a previous arc just trying to enter the current arc and failing multiple times. Yeah, it's Dragon Ball, I guess, has done that in the past. Pilaf is probably the best example of that, but it is like this is something you don't see in most series, and it's really funny the way it's executed. I really did enjoy that, and I wish there's a couple things that we should have mentioned.
It's like the wacky races.
It is. On my top 5, I should have put this week's color spread maybe somewhere, at least as an honorable mention. And also, I should have put Perospero and Flampe as 2 of the worst characters in One Piece. They suck. I don't care. Just like they hurt me personally. It's a personal thing. I'm sorry if you're for some reason a huge Perospero or Flampe fan out there. I know there are a lot of you guys. So
a Perostano.
I'll write that down, but I don't want an image for that. So that's gonna do it. Any other thoughts on this chapter?
It's a good chapter. Great chapter.
Yeah. Let's move on. Welcome to your first day at Usopp University. And what we do here is we take your questions, comments, and theories, and we actually call it the Piece Together segment. I was lying about that first thing. Ed, what do we do?
Wow, I thought art school was a waste. I have tryouts for the sniping team.
Alex, what's our first disc piece?
It's from Track Rock, who says, "Happy birthday to OPP. I turned 40 today on the 30th, so no complaining about how any of you feel old." Well, you got us there.
Yeah.
What if I'm over 40?
Yeah, how do you know how old we are?
I'm not, but what if?
Yeah, we could be all over 40 here. One day that will happen.
Yeah.
So
for some of us, sooner than others. Dot Coder, aka Kieran, says, "Hey OPP, would you consider doing a call-in show? From what I remember from before, Skype stopped being usable for doing this, but I think there are other services like Zoom that could be usable."
Yeah, Skype has been especially terrible lately, so I'm gonna hopefully over the next few weeks or months try and transition us to something new, if something new exists that could support us as we do the podcast. The problem in the past is that a lot of other platforms have sucked, unfortunately. So I think technology is finally kind of getting to where we need it. But yeah, Skype tends to not be great, right, Stephen?
Yeah. How is the I know I haven't been on the game nights. Because you're doing that on Zoom, right?
Yeah. We're not recording on Zoom, but we're live streaming on it. It's pretty good, I think, for the most part, right? I haven't had any specific issues. But yeah, we could figure this out at some point. I just don't know how the editing and post would work for something like that. The problem is you kind of have to do a full run of it to know whether it actually fully works or not. Alex, what's the next question?
Our next disc piece comes from Leo D. Morgan, who says, "Hey guys and gals, I've been thinking about this for a while, and it's a bit of a stretch, but I just wanted to bounce off the idea of you guys. Do you think it's possible that Rox is Emu? On the day of God Valley, some behind the scenes shady stuff went down. Anyways, thanks for indulging me. Sail on."
I feel like that'd be a pretty remarkable turnaround for like a pirate, like a big bad pirate guy to be the boss of the world or whatever, the king.
I mean, it hasn't stopped like the rise of Skywalker or anything.
Well, that's what Rox that was his goal, right? To be James
the
Cameron
of Skywalker. Sorry.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Can I go one day without being reminded that Rise of Skywalker exists?
I haven't seen it yet.
Fine. Actually, it's really bad. Anyway, what I'm saying is that it'd be interesting if Rox actually completed his goal of becoming king of the world, and his emu. But who's to know, really, until we find out. I don't know. Anybody else have any thoughts on this?
I couldn't possibly think of an answer to this question. Can you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll give it a shot. I mean, that's my job, right? All right. Here's the last disc piece. It's Straw Hat Part 9. I love our worst generation idiots. Poor Killer is a babysitter at this point. Lol. That last page was a freaking blast. Marco always knows how to make an entrance. I'm going to cry so hard when they all reunite. It's going to be great. Also, Oda totally heard you all ranking color spreads and said, nah, you think you know your top fives, but guess again.
I'm about to ruin their whole career with this color spread.
Like listening to the podcast.
Show us how. Just show us how quickly top fives could be outdated.
Oh, you really like that one with Robin with the tiger in the jungle, huh? Well, let me fix that. Anyway, that's it for this piece.
Okay, let's move on to emails. First one comes from Sebastian, who says, "Great chapter. Seeing Hacha made me think of an old idea. With Kaido's sign on the gates of Punk Hazard, I always thought he was a failed experiment by Vegapunk playing around with dragons and gigantification. But seeing Hacha and the numbers now, it really makes him more of a success. And the numbers, the previous 9 failures. And also, did you ever notice that the symbol above the giant straw hat in chapter 906 looks very similar to Orz's, and has it on his loincloth, talking about that cross, which I forgot about that. Seems like Vegapunk and the world government were actually experimenting on Orz's race. And yeah, I think we have discussed a lot of these potential theories, but not specifically to Hacha and the numbers, obviously, since that just happened. Do you guys have thoughts?
I'd be curious if there is he reveals that there's a pattern, like a visible pattern to which number they are, they get bigger as the numbers go up or something. That would be kind of interesting. But other than that, yeah, I do kind of agree. He just kind of seems like a normal looking guy who's very tall, which was not really the most exciting reveal that Oda could have done with the numbers. So
agreed.
I don't know.
Next, any other thoughts on that? All right. Myra has the next question. She says, and this one's obviously pointed straight at my soul. I was wondering whatever happened to the rest of the One Piece read-throughs. When you brought it back, you said you were going to cover arcs that hadn't been covered properly before, but you stopped after the Dressrosa ones. What about Zoe and Whole Cake Island? So, I think I was talking about this when we were recording our episode with Brian and crew yesterday. Trying to think of a way to read 96 volumes of the series in a way that isn't too onerous. Is tough because if I do a Zoe read through or a Whole Cake Island read through, I would want to do it correctly and kind of read it in context, not just completely out of context, and say, okay, I'm going to read Zoe and that's it, and then I'll talk about it. I mean, that is, I guess, an option, but it's a tough task to start from the beginning. Although I think at some point we just got to bite that bullet, and we'll have fun going through it, I'm sure. But yeah,
I didn't know you wanted us to start from chapter 1 again.
No, at some point in the future, I don't know if that's something we're doing right now, but some point.
I mean, people have a hard enough time reading One Piece for the first time.
You want to do it again?
Hasn't this been the third or fourth time at this point? I mean, we could also do it. I mean, whenever we do it, we could do it out of context, just do Zoe and Whole Cake Island. The thing is also, and the reason I was gung-ho into doing it at the time is I think Whole Cake Island was wrapping up, and I'm like, okay, now we could do those in context. But the problem is those arcs in particular weigh so heavily on Wano that it's kind of hard to talk about them without knowing what happens in Wano. Like how to talk about them as how do they hold up? How do they look today? Because Zoe in particular mirrors a lot of the stuff that we see here. So not just trying to procrastinate, but it may be a better idea to do it once Wano comes to a conclusion. But we'll see. I don't know. That's where we are right now. Anyone have any other thoughts on pressuring me to do that more? Okay, next one from Hollow Trifecta. If Corazon were alive, would he be a foil to Apu's devil fruit power, or would they make a very dangerous duo?
No, he's like the Luffy to Eneru for that.
Yeah.
Totally means.
Cancels each other out.
See, that would be our Eneru face fault for Apu. It would just be all but it'd be all his teeth falling out.
That would be, yeah. I was trying to does every devil fruit power have like an Eneru face fault to like a power that completely opposes it? I guess like Blackbeard to Kizaru or something, but next question comes from Dan. This is the last email. Now that we finally got to see one of the numbers and he's wearing glasses, do you think that he could be there's some sort of awakened smile fruit, and maybe under those glasses they have the dot eyes typical of awakened Zoan fruit users? Keep up the great work, guys.
I mean, wasn't that just because it was the cutesy Mino, koala, etc.'s in Impel Down? I don't think that was necessarily like an endemic trait to every awakened.
Well, does Monster Chopper have that?
Nope.
Okay, well, we don't know if that's an awakened thing, but yeah, okay.
I think it'd be really interesting if Chopper scienced his way into being awakened.
Yeah, that would be fun. I like the idea that Monster Chopper is just the awakened form of that fruit. I guess a monster is the awakened form of being a human, so that makes sense. Since that's his fruit. Anyway, Steven, ready for some Reddit?
All right, let's go to the subreddit archipelago, and we will start with Lord Nemo 593, who I guess I stole your joke here. He says, "Hey OPP, look up in the sky. Is it a plane? No. Is it a bird? No. It is Pineapple Man." So good mind things alike. 7477388 says,
"Oh, he's my favorite."
Is there a betting? Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Is there a betting pool for who gets to knock the Big Mom Pirates ship off the waterfall for the third time? Who is it going to be? The Grand Fleet or maybe Pell to keep up with the flying Zoan trend?
Yeah, it needs to be someone flying. I feel like.
Oh my God, it's Pell, and he's like, "Guys, something happened to Vivi. Come on and help us."
Guys,
I want it. Yeah. Who the hell was that?
You know that guy?
Yeah. It's like when Luffy runs through someone and it's like, did I just hit something? It's just Pell.
Trying to think of what other flying devil fruit users are there that we know.
I also hope one of the Straw Hats is like, wait, dude, you're alive?
Yeah.
Shiki? I don't know.
Just Gonfall just swoops in.
Yeah.
Hatem H says, "No break. Seeing this week's color spread, would it have made it into your last week's top 5?"
We already talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Not mine, but it's very good.
Maybe.
Yeah, same.
It would be on the precipice, I think.
I think not to reopen the discussion at all, but just to be the devil's advocate, I'm going to say I didn't like the colors. They didn't work for me. I got what he was doing, but it just didn't really strike me. Which is kind of funny because actually, yeah, I guess to give you a little inside baseball, when we work on the chapters, at least for the translators, we tend to get like it's like a PDF with some watermark type stuff to sort of protect the images, but they are in monochrome. and that includes the color spreads as well. Although I'm sure like the full sized versions have all the color data, but so I usually don't see the actual color until the finished chapters come out. And so I had no idea. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, it's, looks like a classic One Piece color spread. I had no idea that it was going to be this very clear, like sort of 2-color looking thing until I saw the finished version. And I was like, whoa, that was not what I was expecting. So
fascinating.
Kind of interesting. Our next question is from Nivers, who says, with One Piece Season 10 Voyage 1 coming out on June 9th, I guess this is the best time to ask the question, how would each of these Straw Hats react to the number 69?
Luffy would make the same face he made at seeing Hancock's naked body.
No. He'd be like 69. I've got 70.
Zoro would be like, it's like that's how many reps you could do.
No, he'd be like 96.
Yeah.
Nami would probably be like teehee or be like gross.
Sanji be like, yes.
No, I think Sanji would.
You making a crack about my eyebrows?
No, I think Sanji would be like, oh, Germa, I hate them.
Germa offshoot.
I think Robin would know, and she'd be like, oh, stop. Frankie would be like, huh? Did you say my name?
Frankie's the guy who would say that. Yeah, Frankie would be the one to say that.
Yeah. And Brooke would be like, oh, I remember when I used to be able to do that.
Oh, you reminded me.
And
go ahead.
And Jinbei would be like, who taught you that? Where'd you hear that from?
Learn
Don't
some
ever
manners.
say that again.
Certainly not me, your father.
You completely reminded me. We were talking about Apu and the foil to the fact that you could close your ears. We also talked about Apu and Brooke being being in a fight together with musical powers. And Brooke is the perfect person to fight Apu because he has no ears.
Oh.
It won't be a problem.
Yeah. Do like a Krillin gag.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that.
Such a good reveal.
Don't get your hopes too high though. Remember when we all thought he was going to fight Smoothie? Like he can't be smoothed.
No.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Yeah, but there's a lot of good Brooke jokes that were just left on the table there. Steven, what's next?
Brad Wander says, I absolutely love the episode last week. Top 5 lists are so entertaining. But there's one bone, pun intended, that I have to pick with you guys. How was Brooks' flashback not even a mention on the Tearjerkers? His whole crew died in front of him one by one, which led him to being alone for 50 years. Real heartless of you to forget him. Yo ho ho.
I mentioned it as it was an honorable mention, I think, on mine. I have it written down. I think I mentioned it.
Pink Sake doesn't really make me cry. I love it a lot, like to an enormous extent. But it just makes me like very happy and like, wibbly in my stomach.
Yeah, I think it pulls
also,
on. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, keep in mind, this is One Piece. There's tearjerkers aplenty here.
Yeah, that's what.
A list of 5 can only you're gonna miss something.
Yeah,
gonna miss a lot. Yeah,
it's worthy of anyone's top 5 though.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I would not judge at all. That's a good answer.
Lidman Bear Pig says, in these revolutionary times, it's important to ask ourselves, is Apu a bootlicker? Comparatively, there's Hawkins and Capone following 4 emperors, but we know what happened with Capone, and Hawkins joining Kaido seems to be out of self-preservation. It's still early, but he's dropped to the bottom of the worst generation power rankings for me. Hawkins climbed up second to last. This would also make Drake, Kobe, and Garp bootleggers because AMAB, all Marines.
No.
Yes.
We had a discussion
Well,
about that a little bit on the politics one.
I was saying last week that Kobe should leave the Marines, get married. Yeah.
Settle down.
Yeah, Kobe,
What, did you just
don't
beat
need
him
to.
in a? What, you just beat him in Street Fighter or something? What speech is that?
All right.
I still, yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, you got to understand. You could probably realize there's something wrong with the Navy when they have like a completely like secret subsect of like Kobe and Drake doing stuff.
I would also add that I think Apu just has a different outlook on like he has a defeatist outlook. It's almost more pathetic than he's a bootlicker. It's more that he's defeatist. You know, he's like, I'm not gonna beat Kaido. Are you freaking crazy? Have you seen the guy? He's like 80 feet tall and has horns, and he's a dragon.
If you can't beat him, join him. That's literally,
because I feel like if you're going to be a bootlicker, you're holding to like some sort of ideal. Like he just seems to be going along with it because it's the survivalist thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kobe, I think fits as that bootlicker definition pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Smoker, I think is starting to buck the system. We'll see where that goes, but
Smoker's always been bucking the system.
Yeah, but also like in the case of Apu, who knows? He might have thought about Star Screaming Kaido at some point, just like Capone did with Big Mom.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah,
that's true.
But also, like he's a DJ, so who's going to throw the best parties?
That's
Clearly,
true. Yeah, we're thinking of
party.
Apu as like the big bad guy. No, he's just looking to DJ at the best places. Like he's just looking out for his livelihood here.
His brand.
His brand.
Straw hat confirmed.
He's like, look, guys, social distancing has killed my DJ business. I'm gonna work where I can get it.
Oof.
God, this got real really quick. That question right there.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
El Grosso says, if you could take a color spread and create an arc around it, which would you choose?
Oh,
wow.
I would choose the Kung Fu one. I still would love to see the Straw Hats in Kano Kingdom. There's a lot different between Chinese and Japanese, and I'm sure the Japanese would be the first to tell you, culture and history, and I'd love to see that. Especially with Kung Fu. So that's the one I would pick.
That's a good answer because it already has like a built-in theme to it that fits that sort of idea.
And Usopp's the old man. Go ahead.
Before Kid was introduced in this arc, I thought it would be really funny if like Kid and Luffy had a weird parallel journey, in that like him and his crew went to Kano while Luffy and Ko went to Wano. And they sort of meet up afterwards, but obviously that can never happen and will never happen. So,
I don't know. It might be a little close to like Whole Cake Island in sort of theme, but like the Battle Fruits 5, where everybody is like a fruit. That was
that's a good one.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I think mine's a tie. Like I have a lot of fondness for the one where they're all dressed in like the army platoon fatigues, running towards like that one I think would be a lot of fun. But also, oh gosh, where's the one where they're like on the little Lego island and they're all like putting bricks together? Those just seem like super fun.
It was right after the time skip, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We've seen like different variations of this one, but maybe like a Western one would be fun.
That's what I was thinking.
That's my pick, 100%.
It was one of the first color spreads.
Yeah,
there were a few.
There's been a bunch.
Yeah, and also the Viking one.
Anything to get Robin back in a cowboy hat.
No, screw that. Let's do the farmer color spread from early on.
Yeah, there you go. With Shanks as the one driving the cart.
Yeah, it'll be like Silver Spoons, but One Piece.
I'd watch it,
man.
I'm looking
the
at the
Viking
one
too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at the one that's on the calendar right now. He's done a couple that are like sort of like Route 66, like hitchhiking style ones, like a road trip arc. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what car they would use, but go ahead.
1000 Sunnymobile.
Easily. That vehicle that was painted up like the Thousand Sunny all those years ago.
Or the one from Gold, where wasn't it the Turtles or something?
The Nissan.
Yeah. No, not the Nissan. The Thousand Serena. The Thousand Serena. That's what it was called. Go ahead, Steven. Oh, go. Yeah, sorry. Was that Dan? Or?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just going to quick honorable mention because I just realized it was on the wall. There's the one of Zoro and Luffy jousting with like little Chopper as like a little knight. I think that'd be a really funny arc too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good choice.
That was on the magazine episode. Somebody mentioned that. All right. Next is from Severed, who says a very important question. What are your top five categories? Also, after checking Steven's Twitter to see what the name of the new manga series was, I saw you were starting the Legend of Heroes series. Those games are the closest I've seen to One Piece level world building in a video game. Please keep the world updated on your progress. Well, I'm still in chapter 1, and it's kind of tough because Xenoblade just came out, and I never beat that on the Wii, so I got to start that all over again, and that's a long one too. Yeah, I don't know. Top 5. Does anyone want to take this seriously or?
Nope.
Looking back at the episode we recorded, the top 5 worst characters, aka the player haters ball, was a lot of fun.
That was that's definitely number 1 of my top 5.
Favorite romantic ships was a lot of fun. Though Zach messed it up for everyone.
Shut up! Stop bringing that up. Why is that still being brought up?
And like art wise, I always enjoy hearing what people's favorite volume covers are. Yeah, I think there's always a lot of variety.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree with Steve. I'm not gonna disagree.
I really like because I want to know what breaks people.
I really did like your transition from top 5 ships to top 5 actual ships. That was a pretty good combination there.
I like the top 5 foods because I got to say Zeph's leg, and it made Steve crack up.
That was amazing. That was like the first thing that came out of your mouth.
That was like the second one we did.
Yeah, I actually that was my favorite one just because I got to like really like go through all the food and stuff like that, and we've been watching Top Chef lately, and they just did a kaiseki episode, and I'm like, man, a One Piece kaiseki, what would that look like? So I like had to.
Isn't that what Smoker uses as a weapon?
The kairoseki.
Okay, what's next, Steven?
All right, last one on Reddit is from Tongari Dan, who says, I hope it turns out Usopp's toad oil cures the people who ate the failed smile fruits. Keep the pattern of Usopp's lies coming true.
That would be
ridiculous.
But
that would be really
ridiculous, but it would be cool.
Yeah.
Usopp special cream.
I kind of so I'm mixed on this because on the one hand, Toko could live a normal life. And so would all the other, misfortunate people. But on the other hand, like it really, like it gives a whole lot of weight for that to be like, oh, like it's like, Alex, do you hate the people do you not want them to have a happy life? Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's not a cop out. I just think that there needs to be more sciencey stuff related.
It would be ranking high on the list of plot conveniences. I feel like to just wave that away. But yeah, I don't know.
That's it for Reddit.
That is it.
It's time to
Piece the tweet. Yeah.
Piece the tweet time.
Yeah. First one comes from G says who says, shout out to the real life revolutionaries in the U.S. They may not have a Monkey D. Dragon on their side, but inherited will, dreams, and the flow of time. As long as man continues to seek out the answer to freedom, these things shall never be stopped. All right?
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Next one comes from Shaheen SD, who says, I didn't see that ending coming. Marco's back. Everyone was speculating a King versus Zoro fight. Maybe now there'll be a King versus Marco fight, which makes a ton of sense. And there's a new chapter next week. Big smiley face. Thank you for all your hard work. Have a great week. Thank you, Shaheen.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
Let's see here.
What if the both of them fight and then they take it outside all the way to the falls and the Big Mom Pirates try climbing the falls again and they get knocked away by their fight?
If only.
All right. Next one comes from Fog Mediocrity, who has a question for Brandon. He says, how does it feel to be an industry legend? P.S. Keith, up the good work you all do.
Oh my God. Okay, so this is an in-joke that will take a second to explain. Where basically I was at Anime NYC last year, back when anime conventions were a thing that could be allowed to happen.
Those were long before
back
any of you were born.
Yesteryears, the days of yore, the Void Century, as we call it. Jeez.
Go
on. We were hosting a panel with me and some other translators. And the panel description.
I was there. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. In the audience.
Yeah.
But you still tell the story, Zach.
No, I wasn't trying to stop him from telling the story. I was just saying, go ahead.
No, it's just that the panel description referred to all of us as industry legends. I don't know who wrote that or who put that in there. And that might be true for some of them. But I'm just a letterer who, I've been working in manga for like 3 years. I'm a baby. So I took the industry legend nomenclature in stride. And so, it's sort of an ironic thing. And now some of my friends still continue to refer to me as an industry legend.
Well, I guess I know how to introduce you in the future.
Oh no!
It begins.
Question. Feels awful to be an industry legend.
The industry legend. It won't just be a industry. He is.
I think we have one more question here.
Okay, what is it, Ed?
Arthur Teixeira says, which Whitebeard pirate or ally do you guys want to see in Wano besides Marco and Izo? The Ice Witch, Whitey Bay, or a Squard. That'd be nice.
Yeah, let's get Squard back.
What? I guess they're not technically members.
No, yeah, they're allies, right? Yeah.
Whitey Bay used to be a part of the pirates.
It's true.
So.
Jozu was cool. Vista was great. Have you seen his mustache?
Oh yeah, Vista's good.
Yeah.
Jozu he's fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion about any of the others. Oh, the pocket guy.
Blemenheim. How about that guy?
I think it was Blemheim.
Or Curiel or Namur.
Would it count if I said Ace?
He did come back already at the beginning of the arc.
Real me, damn it!
I'm going to vote for Vista, who's my Sista from another Mista. So,
oh my god.
God.
I definitely agree.
I also agree.
Okay, is that it, Ed?
That was it, yeah.
Okay, let's wrap up and do a little bit of trivia.
What?
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 624 for June 7th, 2020. Thank you all for coming on the show today. So before we round off, please check us out at patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. Lots of fun stuff, including the full-length documentary, One Piece Podcast Goes to Japan. We'll also hopefully have our OPP 10 first episode out somewhat soon. That's partially on me. So, yeah. And a lot more coming there, so check that out. If you haven't, as we said at the top of the show, please do what you can to support the Black Lives Matter movement. We have a lot of information on our Twitter, as well as have it on our description, and you could find it out there. It's an important thing going on right now, and we'll also talk a lot more about that on our upcoming OPP and Politics episode. And I think that's gonna do it. Before we get to trivia, how could the good people find all of you out there, Brandon?
I am on Twitter at Brandon Bovia, BrandonBovia, no space, no underscore. That's just it. It's just my name. Easy to find me. I talk plenty about manga lettering. If you're interested in learning about what it is that we do, lots of complaining and lots of mixed in with legitimate industry insight and all that sort of thing. So yeah, give me a follow if that is what you're interested in.
Of course. And I have. We also I want to thank Dan for coming on. Where can people find you?
Oh God, on the internet. But I'm at Game Apartment 1C on Twitter. That's the words Game Apartment and the number 1 and the letter C. I over-explain that. But yeah, I mostly post on there about the Twitch stream that I do. That is wholly, if not partly, inspired by the Japanese television series Game Center CX. We play a lot of retro games, but also try and promote diversity and inclusion in video games. But I recently just started. And because of Grant finishing up the reread of One Piece, I started going back and rereading and rewatching One Piece from the very beginning. So I've been kind of detailing my exploits of that on Twitter. But if you like One Piece and Dragon Quest, give me a follow, and I will do my best to not annoy you.
See, Dan's doing it, Steve. See?
What, annoying me?
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Get out of here with your One Piece fandom.
Okay, I will go.
What's One Piece?
Steven.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Translatosaurus, and you can read, in addition to One Piece, of course, you can also read the new series I'm working on, Time Paradox Ghostwriter, which is the latest series in Jump, and it's been pretty fun so far.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been cool. I'm really happy with it so far, and I hope that it continues to entertain. And yeah, the first couple chapters are out, so you can read those now.
Alex.
Find me on Twitter at dude! All one word. I'm also on Twitter at Weeb Simpsons. It's been a while since I updated, but who knows? I'll probably throw something on there next week just because I only update when I feel like it. I'll listen to Toho Yaro, the Japanese Film Club podcast that I do with Joey and V. We usually do it weekly. We took this past week off, but the next episode is a big one. It's Seven Samurai, and we had a lot of fun doing it. There's a lot of nifty info. We really pulled it out for this one. And then stay tuned, of course, for some episodes featuring Grant and Zach and some other folks that you might know from this podcast. But follow us online at Toho Yaro. Rate, subscribe, review, yada, yada, yada. Also, Super Art Fight. I do stuff with them every Saturday, most Saturdays, but they do stuff every Saturday. Twitch.tv/Super Art Fight. Catch it.
Steve.
You could follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Steve Yurko is my name and my username. Listen to me on other podcasts. Of course, listen to me on The Deep End, the podcast where I cover shows that aired on Adult Swim and other adult animation with Matt J. Listen to Toon Sweet. It's the wrestling entrance theme podcast I do with our good friend Doctor. And I don't know. That's it. Stay safe out there and stay educated.
Yeah. And Ed, where could the good people out there contact us?
Yeah, you are Zach_Logan on Twitter. I'm at Edward E. One Piece. I'm also be found at Weeb Trailers. Podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is the Skype name. Patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Please support us there. Subscribe on SoundCloud. Subscribe on iHeartRadio. Subscribe on Spotify. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Or call us on our phone number, Zach.
That phone number is 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
Thank you.
Maji.
That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your questions, your comments, your theories, or why the Big Bomb Pirates are blasting off again. So let's do something a little different for this round of trivia. We have not played this game before. So we did a lot about color spreads today, and we also did a lot about color spreads last week when we did our top 5. So I am holding 2 of the most sacred texts in One Piece, and that are those are the 2 color wall compendiums, and I'm gonna
sacred One Piece texts.
happy that happened. And I'm going to describe what's happening in a color spread, and you're going to tell me what Luffy is either wearing or doing.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh jeez!
What hotline is this?
Oh my god!
What are you wearing? What are you?
I feel like George Costanza with the Frogger machine right now. My whole life has been leading up to this moment.
It's true. We're gonna go in. We're gonna go in order. Ed, Alex, Steve, Steven, Dan, Brandon. Steven, you're not ducking out this time.
There I am.
especially since you translated these.
I was gonna say, Steve, that when you said like, "Oh, don't worry, he's just eating macaroni and cheese," I was that time. So just so you know.
Oh yeah, the Kraft macaroni and cheese,
yes.
right?
Man,
how do I call this? It's like I got clairvoyance or something.
Yeah. So I'm only taking them from the 2 compendiums. First person to get to 3 wins. Pretty simple. If you don't get it within a reasonable amount of time at my determination,
what's the game
open
again?
it up. You just have to tell me what Luffy is doing and or wearing in a color spread. It's going to be a random color spread.
All right.
Ed, pick which compendium you'd like, 1 or 2.
2.
Okay, so I have compendium 2, and then pick a page from 1 to, let's say, 300.
200.
200. So let's see what we got here. Make it random, but not so random that you can't figure out kind of where this is happening in time. Okay. 200. This is it. Okay, in this panel, everyone is amongst mushrooms, giant mushrooms. Brooke is playing the violin.
That's the one with the grasshoppers on it.
Yeah, it's the one with the grasshoppers. But what is Luffy doing?
They're like, it's like orange mushrooms, and they're like the grasshoppers playing fiddles. He's dancing.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to be more specific exactly what Luffy's doing? It's fine. Christ. I don't mind doing that.
He's clapping over his head.
He's doing the worm.
Yeah. Wow. Ed Steve got that exactly.
Wow. Whatever.
So I'm going to give the point to Steve. I'll give it to Steve. Yeah. Alex, he said it exactly. It was like, what am I going to do? Not give him a point? Alex, pick one or two. 1 or 2.
I'll do 1.
1 to, let's say, 300.
170.
170. So let's see what we got.
Sucks.
Yeah, let's do this one. On this color spread, you've got Zoro and that cool cat. We just talked about this one. Usopp in his weird football gear. Sanji in the foreground pouring a glass of his sangria, I think. And what is Luffy doing?
He's sort of like looking off into the distance, and he's got like a scarf on and shit.
Yeah, sitting atop a skull. I will give that.
Oh my god, I got lucky with this one. This was in my top 5.
Yeah, it's a really good color spread. Okay, Steve.
Hi.
1 or 2.
Let's go with 1.
Pick a number.
Let's go 205.
205. I'm giving you the illusion of control on what your guys are picking.
I'm just like the government. Hi-oh!
Oh.
Too soon.
Too soon. Okay. This one I would not have remembered. There's a giant snake threatening to eat the entire crew, and also a fish holding a little fake sword, like a kendo sword. And Zoro and Sanji seem shocked in the background. Usopp especially shocked, his eyes bulging out of his head. A lot of the crew is grabbing on Luffy, but what is Luffy doing?
He's running away.
Yeah. Anything? Is he holding anything? Is he doing Any ridiculous face?
I know like they're like Nami, or I think like Nami's like tugging on his mouth. I think Chopper is on top of his head.
I'm gonna give that to you. Yeah, he has a ridiculous like sawtooth like running away thing, and he's holding a fishing rod. But yeah, you got that pretty close.
Oh, okay.
So Steven.
Oh, he's got like pointy teeth, right?
Yeah, pointy
That's
teeth.
What you mean?
Yeah, like shark teeth, pointy teeth. Steven. 1 or 2.
Oh, that's right. Number 2.
Number 2. Pick a number 1 to 300.
Surprise me.
Okay.
I'm gonna get it anyway,
I'm gonna pick randomly. Okay. This one, it's time for bread and hot dogs. Robin is serving 2 hot dogs. Nami has a hot dog and tongs, and that is actually what's happening here. Sanji is cutting up a loaf to put hot dogs in. Usopp is doing some weird hot dog thing. I don't know. Chopper's excited because he's putting both ketchup and mustard on the hot dogs.
This is my favorite color spread.
There is a dog wearing a shirt that says "Dog Eat Dog," and I love every moment of it. There's another dog.
Dogs.
There's a lot of dogs in this one, actually. I just am noticing that's the joke. But what is Luffy doing?
Is he eating a hot dog?
Can you be more specific?
Is he eating 2 hot dogs?
Can you be more specific? No, he's not.
2 dogs?
He might have. I don't know.
If they call
Probably
it
gonna have hot dogs for dinner.
Okay, I want a hot dog right now. I'm gonna throw this up to the audience since Steven did guess there.
Ooh, Zach, me.
Am I gonna let Steve get this?
It's not my favorite. I'll give up my chance.
Are you sure?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on the show all the time.
He is stuffing his face full of hot dogs to the point where it is stretched out, and it's a mess.
Perfect. Yep. Perfect. Sorry, Stephen. I accidentally picked Dan's favorite color spread.
1 or 2 hot dogs to me.
Yeah, but he's covered in ketchup, and you can't see him eating the hot dogs. He has already eaten the hot dogs. Past tense, very important in this extremely professional game of guess what Luffy's doing. Dan, your turn. 1 or 2?
It's fine. I'm going to mess this one up. Let's go for 1.
1 and a number 1 to 300.
13.
That is very early on. So let's see what we got. 13. This is the only color spread I've ever seen where Oda like signs it at the bottom. The crew is atop a pierced snake that is, or dragon. I guess it's a dragon because it's flying and it has wings. And there's a treasure on the back. My throat's fine. What are you talking about? Also has goggles on his head. Zoro's there. Nami's there. Luffy's there. What's Luffy doing?
Oh man,
it's a hard one you pick because it's early and it's harder to remember.
If I remember, he's hanging off of the very back of the dragon.
Is he doing anything? Is anything happening? What is happening in the scene to Luffy?
Jeez, I can't remember. Jeez, I thought if I picked early, I might have a better memory of it. I chose poorly.
Jump ball. Oh, you wanna give one more shot?
I'm drawing a blank.
All right, jump ball. Anyone?
Not even Steve.
He's got a piece of meat in his mouth.
No, so the answer is, since Steve didn't get it, Luffy is trying to get his hat, which fell off, and Zoro is holding him back. So he's like half off the side.
That's right. Yeah.
Since Steve didn't get, I like how Steve has become the teacher's pet. Always like hand raised. Like the only one in class with the hand raised.
Steve's so good at this game.
Give us homework.
Here's your gold star, Steve.
Shut up, Steve.
Brandon.
We're gonna cream you later.
1 or 2?
1.
Number from 1 to 300.
101.
101. Let's see what we got. It's 104. So book 1, 101. I love this one. It's the decisive battle in Erlong Park. Need I say more? You've got the Erlong Pirates on the bottom half, the Straw Hat Pirates at the top half. All you have to tell me is, what is Luffy doing?
Oh, gosh. I feel like I vaguely remember this. Is he just posing with the rest of the guys?
He is.
Is that
Do you
this
want
one?
to
Like,
add any more
does he have his
color
arms
to it?
crossed? Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give
Is
that
he-
to you.
Okay.
I mean, if
Oh.
you want to add any more color, you can. This one's a pretty simple one.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like kind of flexing, I guess. He's
Yeah.
showing off his arm.
He's
Yeah,
also
so-
making a face like a grr.
No, he's just kind of smiling, but not his like usual Luffy smile. So I guess that,
Decisive battle at Erlong Park.
I'll take
I
it.
was mixing it up with Sanji's pose.
Oh,
Okay, right.
yeah.
with the tie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luffy loosens his tie, and all the air deflates in his head.
Ed, it's your turn. By the way, the score right now: Alex has 1, Steve has 2, Dan and Brandon each have 1. All that needs to happen is Steve just needs to get 1, and it's over. Ed,
Thank you for the
Sure.
chance.
Oh, yeah, the
but-
shutout rule.
Book 2, 250.
okay, let me get that one out since it's in a completely different spot. 250. Here we go. This one. I think this is it. Yeah. Watercolors. Do I need to say more? But I will. Cola everywhere.
And not a
Brooke
drop
has
to
2
drink.
colas. Brooke has 2 colas. Usopp is holding 2 colas and burping. Nami is drinking 1 cola. Frankie is getting some cola.
He's
Nami
got
is-
his Luffy's like playing in the playing with like the gutter, right? It's like a canal of water.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you say any more? Do you remember exactly what he's doing?
Oh my
I'm
God, Zach, you're a
I'm gonna
Cool.
give this to you, but I was about to
Yeah,
say
right.
I'm gonna give this to you, but can you say anything else because it's something specific?
No, I can't.
His
Steve,
tongue is
do you
sticking
wanna-
out.
Yeah, but he's actually doing something specific, which I had not noticed until I just saw this.
Laundry?
Isn't he like? Isn't he pouring the cola? Isn't he like giving a fish some cola?
Yes, that's what he's doing.
It's also
I'm
that was one of my picks too. So
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm giving that to Ed though. Alex, pick a compendium and a page.
I'll do the first compendium and give me page 15.
By the way, Steve obviously has a like photographic memory with this very specific thing. It's odd. 15.
Just like the teacher making excuses for the teacher's pet.
Yeah, guys, don't be mean to Steve.
He's my nephew.
got you an apple, Mr. Zach.
I'm gonna do one a little
He
after
knows
that.
my favorite food is apples. Apples give me secret sexual powers.
Okay. We're at a lighthouse. Nami is writing in her navigation. She looks like she's writing on a map. There is a book that says navigation. right
Dear
next to her, though.
Navigation Journal. It's me, Doug.
She has some sort of martini next to her that says wanted. DACHS. I don't know what that. Docs.
Dachshund?
There are a couple of boats in the back. One has a skull and crossbone. The other one says mantis. There are a few seagulls wafting in the air. What is Luffy doing?
Trick question. Luffy's not on this.
Oh.
That's not the answer. Nice try, though.
Luffy's having a drink with Zoro.
Yes, Steve wins.
They're
Not
toasting.
even. Yeah.
Ooh.
Jeez, Steve. That's kind. I'm almost scared at how
This
good
was a
at that
mercy
game-
killing, so Steven can
Too
go and
powerful.
have something to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot dog. I'm gonna stuff my
I
face
want a
with
hot dog. Yeah, I want to stuff my face with hot dogs after that. With a bunch of dogs. With a dog that says dog eat dog. That's gonna do it for the One Piece
Jesus
podcast.
Christ, hat on a hat.
We're gonna be back next week to talk about chapter 982. Yes, 2 weeks in a row. God's will be joining us for that. Looking forward to it. Until then, everyone, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
My name is Steve.
My name is Alex.
And we'll see you next week, everyone. Goodbye.
That's a really good way to sign off the show, Mr. Zach.
Together